Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Talk Tuesday. Welcome to Talk Tuesday. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I apologize for the delay. We were actually in another session, and so we are still here. I'm still here, guys. I'm still here. And I'm coming to you tonight. If you can hear me, please let me know you can hear me. Want to make sure that you can hear me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are here. Nevertheless, we are here. We are here. Making sure we have everyone on. Thank you so much for joining tonight. We are in Talk Tuesday, and it's just me tonight, guys. It's me tonight. It's me tonight. So it looks like I have some. Okay, let's see. If you can see me, if you can hear me, let me know. I need to make sure that you guys can hear and see me. Things are not, uh, let me see what we got here. You guys doing all right tonight? Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for joining in. If you can hear me and or see me, please let me know. Please let me know because I can't hear or see anybody. If you are on and you can hear or see me, please let me know. Talk Tuesday, we're here, season 2, episode 20. We have 2 more episodes in this season, and then we will be going over to another session. Okay, so this doesn't make sense. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. There we go. There we go. All right, so I am with you guys tonight, and I am here basically because we're kind of taking another route in what we're doing. We have over the last couple of months or so, we have brought on some wonderful guest speakers. We talked to some wonderful individuals that shared some awesome stories, and so we're going to take another approach at this time because sometimes you have to move and go another route. Not that we won't have any more guests, but I feel like that we're still focusing on trauma, healing, and purpose, but we're going to move into talking about more of the topics and sharing more of my story because I need you guys to I need you to get more information, and then also we can run it back and get more resources as well. But I definitely feel like that you guys will be able to get more, uh, from my story. So I wanted to make sure that everyone was able to see and hear me. If you are with me tonight, please don't keep this information to yourself. Share the live. I'm coming to you tonight. My topic tonight is about, or is actually entitled, Now What? And I normally have my atmosphere a little darker. I usually have my atmosphere. I usually have my atmosphere like my lights are turned down, my candles are burning, my incense are burning, my streaming lights are on. I don't even usually keep on my ring light because that's the kind of mood that I want to keep it in. But tonight I am in bright lights. Like really, these lights are way too bright for me because I don't like a lot of light on my eyes. But within that, I want to talk about now what, and in that we want to talk about. So when you're in the midst of right, like my introduction said, when you're smack dab in the middle of your trauma, what do you do when you're smack dab in the middle of your trauma? We talked about, your trauma, and then, some of us are moving into the healing phase, and then some of us are moving over into the purpose stage. So you experienced your trauma. You got past your trauma. You moved on in your journey now to your healing stage. And even in moving over to your healing stage, now you have moved over to purpose. But what if you're not to that point? What if you're not in your healing journey? Or maybe you were in your healing journey and something else happened. Or maybe you were in your purpose um, stage and then something else happened. What do you do? What do you do? There are so many aspects where people want to give you advice on what you should do and what you need to do and what you ought to do. But the fact of the matter is, what do you really do? So do you just tuck your tail, your head, as they used to say? My grandparents used to say, do you tuck your head between your tails and just give up? Or do you step back and take a moment to evaluate um, what's happening in this moment? Where do we go from this moment? Like, what do I do? What do I do with the situation? And in that, I want to say that most of the time, when trauma hits us, we kind of panic. And we talked about a couple of weeks ago, what's the lesson that we are learning in this moment? What's the lesson that this particular trauma was brought to teach me? And um, in this, is this a reoccurring lesson? Is this a lesson that I didn't learn before? Is this a lesson that that has been brought back um, has been brought back to me because I didn't get the lesson before? And most of the time, when we are in that situation, we have to step back and evaluate it to see, okay, so and we never have losses. Remember, we never have losses, we always have lessons. So if you are joining me tonight, please share. Please share, because there's so many more people that needs to hear this. But I wanted to just work on how we respond to traumatic situations that happen in our life, and where do we take it from there. So I really would like to have your input on this. So if you're joining in, if you're on Facebook, and if you are on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, whatever, I can see your comments. I'm on every platform with you, but I want to know. So what do you do in your traumatic situations when that thing comes and you really don't know what to do? Do you stop and evaluate the situation? I say yes and no. And the reason I say yes or no is because sometimes we don't. Sometimes we panic. Sometimes we overanalyze. Sometimes we overthink things. And we don't stop to get the real meaning of why um, why we are experiencing this situation again. So if we take the time to stop and evaluate the situation, even in that traumatic situation, how do we get there? How did we get to the point of where we are? It doesn't matter if it is, um, a personal situation, a business situation, a family situation, a community situation. How do we get there? How do we get to the point where we are now? Even if that point is beyond your control, even if it's of no fault of your own, do you stop and evaluate that situation and say, okay, where do I go from here, and how does this how do I handle this situation? How do I make the best of this situation? How do I move from where I am in this situation to the next stage? So with that being said, I wanted to say with that, if when you're in those type of situations, if you don't evaluate it, if you don't stop to evaluate that, then you may make a rash decision that you will regret later. Or I'm not going to say will, I'll say may regret later. If you don't stop to evaluate that situation, then you definitely may cause more harm than good. We don't really want the traumatic situations that happen. On some of the previous episodes that where we interviewed those people that went through, oh my God, traumatic situations in their lives. So if say one of the guests went through domestic violence, one of the guests went through domestic violence not only in her home but in church. One of our guests went through traumatic situations where she chose using drugs and alcohol to cover up what was really going on inside. So in those situations, if you don't assess the situation at hand, are you going to make it worse? Are you going to continue in a vicious cycle? If you don't evaluate the situation on what got you into the relationships that you were in, or the choices that you made, or the things that you accepted, or what have you, if you don't stop to evaluate those, where does that lead you on down the road? So that's why it's very, 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 very important for us to always assess the situation. Assess the situation. We're not here to tell you what to do. In my situation, I'm sharing with you on um, my experience, because some of the traumatic situations that I went through, I could have just said, yeah, I'm just going to give up. I am going to, I can't do this anymore. I'm not worried about, you know, trying to come out of the situation or what have you. But because the determination that I had, I chose to step back and look at um, what was happening, what's going on here, what can I do to get me from this point A, as we say, we always say um, point A to point B, and what are we going to do from that point? And I'm a talker to myself. I talk to myself all the time. Tawana, what we gonna do? What are we gonna do in this situation? Where do we go from here? Uh, where do we go from here? What are we gonna do? Um, I chose not to give up. Did some situations break me? Oh yes, they did. They did. Some of them like literally gutted me. Um, and I say that word a lot, where those situations gutted me because they did. Like I went through a domestic violence situation in high school, and as a high school senior, to be going through domestic violence, it was so embarrassing. Like it was so embarrassing, and and I would think back, if I only listened to my mom, if I wasn't, if I wasn't thinking about boys, or if I, was being obedient, I wasn't really, really too defiant, but there were some situations where, yeah, I didn't listen to what my mom said. So you think back to could I have prevented the things that I went through? And I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about anybody else. So could I have prevented the things that I went through? Maybe so. And then maybe not. Maybe they, it would have come up at a later time. But um, those situations, or that particular situation, coupled with other situations that I've been through in my life, which is why we're here, they all got me to right here. Like traumatic situations can be so, uh, like they can be embarrassing, they can cause shame, they can cause, like literally, when traumatic situations gut me, it's like it takes my strength away a little bit. Like it's just exhausting. Sometimes it can be exhausting. So I don't want to out to portray. Am I strong? Yes, I am. Am I weak sometimes? Yes, I am. I am. Because I had to learn. I had to actually do some self evaluations, because for a long time I was more concerned about how I was presented to others, or how I looked in the eyes of others, and then what other people thought of me, and what they think of me, and how they're going to look um, at me or my situation or whatever. And I had to get over that, because um, that can be damaging to you, and it can make you have insecurities of your own. It's like um, if you're always out to please other people, then you're going to sometimes, or most of the time, disappoint yourself. So I had to get over trying to worry about what other people thought, or how I was perceived. Like there would be times, like even with the situations I was having with my hair and stuff like that. People always tell me, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You have such a pretty face." And even in my book, I have a chapter that talks about how I can't stand when people say, "Oh, you have a pretty face. You have a pretty face." Okay, so what about the rest of me? So I was for a long time worried about what other people thought of me. I remember one time in junior high school, I was in the eighth grade, and y'all know I've always been a thick little girl, but we grew up poor, like PO. We didn't even have the OR because my mama was raising three kids by herself. So we would at that time, I think at that time, me and my mom was almost in the same size, but like her clothes were a little bit too big for me, and of course she had the the Kmart the Kmart fashion style, and I ain't want to no, I don't want your Kmart clothes. But at that point, I remember in the eighth grade, I had three pair of jeans, right? And so I had three pair of jeans, and one of them, they were so worn out in between the thighs, because these thighs, they fit. I didn't ask for them, they called me. The the thighs were so worn out because I had them for so long, and my mom couldn't afford to buy me any more jeans. So I had three pair of jeans and maybe like some pull on, jogging pants or something like that. And so these pair of jeans I would rotate at all times. It wasn't back to school shopping. It wasn't Christmas where my aunts and my mom took us to, what was it back then, Dillard's and JC Penney's and all of and Belts, where they had the credit cards that they would max out or what have you. It wasn't them. So I had to to fend with those three pair of jeans. And that one pair that was so worn out, guess why they were worn out? Because I wore them all the time. They're my favorite pair of jeans. But when they got to the point where I had wore them out so much between the thighs, it will rub together so bad that one time at school it tore. So I had a hole in my favorite pair of jeans between the thighs. And I was like, oh my God, everybody's going to see that I have a hole in my jeans. And I was literally so upset because this means I may not get to wear my jeans anymore. But I was so concerned about how everybody was going to look at, if they saw these holes in my jeans. Because, you had some of your friends in high school or junior high school, they had moms and dads, or their moms made a whole lot of money. My mama worked in a textile mill, Ty Caro, if you remember that, if you're Gastonia native, across from South Gastonia Elementary. Yes, that's how old I am. But I was so concerned about what people were going to think about my jeans. And it didn't make any sense, but that's how we kind of mess ourselves up by worrying about what other people think. Now, could that have been a traumatic situation? Uh-huh. But if I would have stayed in that situation, stayed in that mindset, because it is a mindset, then what? If I chose not to come on here and speak to you guys because, well, somebody's gonna say well, she looks like a boy because she cut all her hair off, but you didn't stop to ask me why I had to cut all my hair off, or why I have that little light patch in the top of my head right there, or why those things that happen. Then I could cause those traumatic situations to be reoccurring for myself. um but I said all that to say, I'm sorry for rambling, but I said all that to say, what happens when you're smack dab in the middle of your traumatic situation, and you don't know what to do? You've never you've never really understood what trauma is. You were in it and didn't know that's what it was. What do? Do you just give up and, hide out and not take the situation at hand and make it your situation and make it a better situation, or deal with the situation at hand so that you can heal? Not necessarily everyone moves from healing to purpose, but most of the time when we go through things, when we're in a traumatic situation and we're moving in our healing journey, that journey is going to come. That journey is going to move into purpose, whether we want to or not. Because I didn't choose my purpose. I didn't choose my purpose. My purpose chose me. So I'm here, and I'm going to be here. I don't have a choice at this point. I'm going to be here, still talking about trauma healing and purpose, because it's my duty. It's my duty. It's my calling to bring this to the forefront, because not everybody wants to talk about it. Not everybody's comfortable with talking about it. We just left mental health. I think it was Men's Mental Health Month, and then mental health as a whole. Nobody wants to talk about how your trauma situations affect you mentally. We are still, I say still, in the middle of our pandemic situation. All the deaths that has happened from 2020, 2021, and 2022. Grief is a real thing. And my first traumatic experience with grief, I was 10 years old when I watched my grandmother take her last breath. And do you think that I knew at that point that was trauma? No. But I'm sure that someone in that funeral service figured that took a toll on her, because literally, guys, I almost turned my grandmother's casket over, because I was like, why is my big mama not coming home with me, and why is she laying in that? I literally called my grandmother mama for the longest, because she was that person for me. But some people don't look at experiencing grief as trauma. Well, it is. And so, do you talk about it or do you not? And you really don't. You really don't understand that grief is a form of trauma until you have to walk that road yourself. Until you lose someone that is extremely close to you, and you don't know whether you're coming or going. You can't think correctly. All you see is that you know some people, put it like this, some people don't go to funerals because they can't handle that being the last vision that they have of that person, right? Some people don't want to see their loved ones laying in the casket, because in my experience, when you watch someone take their last breath, that's not a vision that you can get out of your head. Also, when you see that person that you don't even know how you're going to live without, you see them laying in a casket. That's not a vision that you automatically get out of your head. Does it get better with time? Yeah, but you don't necessarily get that out of your out of your head. So these are some of the things and the topics that are taboo that people don't want to talk about. But they're traumatic. They're trauma. And you have to make the choice to move to your healing, whether that's talking to someone about it, whether it's going to therapy, whether it's getting in support groups, whether it's talking to your clergy members, whether it's talking to your family and friends. You guys get together and you talk about it, because everybody is experiencing the same thing, but nobody's saying anything. We have to stop putting the rug over it or sweeping these things under the rug. And whether I have one viewer or 0 viewers, no replays or what have you, my purpose is still the same. It is still to get this word out and to provide you with resources and outlets in order to be able to talk about those situations, to be able to assess those situations, excuse me, to be able to discuss those situations and get your healing, because I want you to experience the same healing that I have. And we have kind of a wordplay sometimes where we say, okay, I survived, or I thrived, or I'm healed, or whatever. But just through evaluations from my own personal point of view, I've gotten to the point right now where I'm kind of changing my wording. I did survive. I am a survivor. I did survive, but I am surviving. I am surviving because it's a constant thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an ongoing situation. I'm surviving. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. I'm thriving. I'm healing. Because it is still an ongoing process. So I know this episode was a little more personal and a little more serious, because I want to take that turn, because I feel like you guys need to hear more from me. So we'll have some guests later on in the season. I think we have one more guest in season 2, and then in season 3, we may have some guests on. But from now until we decide to go another route, you're going to see my pretty face every Tuesday at 9 p.m. on Talk Tuesday. On Talk Tuesday. Sometimes I may want to even put on some makeup for you guys. Hey, I don't know. I might color my hair to give you a little something different to view. But until then, you're going to see my pretty face. And yes, I am. My face is pretty, regardless of how. But y'all see them waves right there? They're coming in. My wave journey is happening, even with my little alopecia spot. But trauma healing and purpose, guys. It is a serious matter. It is a serious matter. And I just wanna help you. We're out here in these internet streets, helping others heal, helping others to understand their healing journey, and to provide that information. So if you have any questions, you can definitely send an email to talktuesday@tawanalorraine.com. That is Talk Tuesday at TawanaLorraine.com. That will be posted in the description as well. You can always send me a message. You can send me a DM. However, you want to do that. I apologize, Instagram. I wasn't paying attention and my battery's going dead. But that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I apologize for my tiredness. I was so enthralled into another trading that I was doing. And in the middle of that, I lost all track of time because it was so good. But what I do want to remind you is that if you don't make the decision to deal with the traumatic situations in your life, then you're not going to help yourself. If you don't deal with them, this just came the hour before. Someone mentioned in my training that I was in that if you don't deal with your emotions, then your emotions will eventually deal with you. And I convert that over to, okay, if you don't deal with your traumatic situations, then your traumatic situations will definitely deal with you. So that's it for tonight. That is Talk Tuesday, Season 2, Episode 20. We'll be back here on next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central. But hey, look out for me coming. I'll be coming a little more often. You'll hear more about that tomorrow. So stay tuned, okay? Remember to share the live. And if you're tuning in on the replay, hashtag replay and let me know that you were here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Talk Tuesday, and we are out. We'll talk to you next time.